Good day, and welcome to this Eeveesode number 16. So, you might recognize this title screen is a bit different from the previous episodes, and that's basically because I'm editing with the OBS, the Open Broadcast Software, instead of After Effects, which I kind of started to like lately when I'm doing the live stream. So, I can basically do the same thing as in After Effects. I can switch to just the camera view. And I can jump into Blender with an overlay. So, yeah, in Blender, we're gonna look at a new feature added to Eevee, or it's been in for a while, but I haven't time to make the Eeveesodes, and it's called Contact Shadows. So, firstly, we just read up on the roadmap about Contact Shadows. Where did I had it selected? There. Contact Shadows. Currently, VSM and ESM have problems with light leaking. One easy way to fix this is to use screen-based ray tracing against depth buffers to find occluder. This really helps, but still they suffer from the same thickness problem that screen space reflections have. So, what's it all about? Let's. I'm gonna make a simple scene to illustrate it, with just a ground plane. And we have this cube. I'm gonna try and put it on its, like one of its edges or ends, like that, so it's almost like touching the ground plane. And we're gonna add a simple area light, make it a bit bigger. Another thing I notice is that you can change the area light by just dragging these edges, which is really nice. So, if we enable shadows, we can select the softness, and to have something like really contact shadows would be almost having like, I'm gonna raise this cube up a tiny bit so we see the shadow. Almost have like a sharpness of 0 where it's in contact with another surface, and then smooth out to something like this maybe. I'm just gonna boost the lighting method to VSM and use a high bit depth and a 2K texture, so we get a little bit better result. And let's enable contact shadows. So now you can see that it's starting to ray trace. If I turn it off again, it's really smooth here where it's almost in contact with the surface. But if I turn it on, it starts to ray trace the samples and mix it with the other soft shadow. So it's still a bit weird result, but it's getting there, I guess. And we can increase the samples also to get away some of this ray trace blurriness. So like from this angle it's really weird, but here it starts, you can see the effect better. So let me just turn it off again so you can see off and on. So I'm gonna open up the Wanderer scene by Daniel Bystedt. It's gonna probably take a couple of seconds before it's open up, because it's quite a huge file, like 600 megabytes. But there we are. So let me just rearrange this. And jump out of camera. And where's the light source? It's up here. So let's just make it a tiny bit bigger. And we're gonna focus on this model. You've probably seen a GIF explaining, oh, this is the handle. So it's weird that it's drawn that big. So you've probably seen this GIF explaining this feature called Contact Shadow. But if you look at the model over here and on his scarf and stuff like that, there's a bit of weird shading. Maybe this part shouldn't be like in the light at all. So if we I'm just gonna collapse that menu. If we go into the light source and enable contact shadow, and then you can start to see that it ray traced the result, and a lot of the surface that was like lit should be in shadow. So off and on again. So it's a bit more realistic result with it on, and it doesn't really eat that much memory either, but maybe like the draw time increases. Yeah, so that was the contact shadow feature for Eevee, and I'm probably gonna do, as I see them being implemented, I would like to look at new stuff in edit mode, which is called, I believe, Workbench engine, and as I understand it, it runs on top of Eevee or clay mode, and is in charge of drawing the vertices and all the other stuff that lays on top of the 3D or the Eevee render engine. So one feature, which isn't super new, but it's like if you're in vertex mode and have something like this, which is kind of dense mesh, and zoom out far away, you get this Fresnel shading on top of the vertices, so you kind of see the shape. In 2.79 this should be just a flat outline, but this is kind of nice. And when I tried it the first time, it only worked in vertex mode, but if I zoom in and go into edge mode, you can see you still have the Fresnel shading in edge mode. It also works on faces, so that's kind of cool. This might not be a new feature, but I noticed it today when I was checking the edit mode of this model. So if you have some vertices that are occluded by another object, you get this kind of nice shaded overlay of the occlusion. So you can still see the vertices down here under, but you can kind of see that it's shaded a bit darker because it's occluded by this scarf object. And if you go in here and enable limit selection to visible, so it will clip with the depth buffer. So now you can see that the scarf is really occluding all the stuff, all the vertices under here. But if you disable it again, you get this kind of almost like an X-ray vision. So that's nice. I will try and keep an eye out for all the new stuff happening in the Workbench engine. But that was the feature I wanted to show for this episode, the contact shadows. So, oh look, I'm in the TV. If we read the roadmap for Eevee, so we're in October week 3. So they're working on volume object. They've been working on the contact shadow, and for the next week it's gonna be bug fixes for Blender conference, which is pretty cool. So we have the Blender conference upcoming. I'm not gonna be there this year. I really wish I were. I'm probably gonna go next year, but I'm gonna watch the live streams online and check out for all the, like, every talk about Eevee or the Workbench engine. I'm gonna gobble that up, and you should also keep an eye out. And it's been a long time since I did an Eeveesode, and now with OBS I'm probably gonna do them more often, and I'm gonna try and keep doing them on weekends. So until next week, goodbye, happy blending.